Welcome to the untold chapters of history, where forgotten heroes wait to be rediscovered. These are the stories of individuals who, through courage, ingenuity, and resilience, shaped the course of humanity but remain hidden in the shadows of time. From fearless explorers to silent guardians of change, their contributions remind us that even in obscurity, greatness endures. Let's dive into their remarkable journeys, illuminating the past one hero at a time. 1. Trailblazers in science. Pioneers behind the scenes. Throughout the annals of history, certain brilliant minds have remained in the shadows, their contributions instrumental to scientific advancements yet overshadowed by more celebrated figures. These forgotten pioneers often lacked recognition during their lifetimes, but their work laid the foundation for some of humanity's greatest achievements. Let's uncover the stories of two such extraordinary individuals whose legacies deserve the spotlight. Mary Anning, the woman who revolutionized paleontology. On the rugged storm-battered cliffs of Lyme Regis in southern England during the early 19th century, a young woman named Mary Anning walked with determination and a keen eye for discovery. Born into poverty in 1799, Anning's life was far from ordinary. As a self-taught fossil collector, she unearthed fossils of creatures that had never been seen before, fundamentally altering the scientific community's understanding of prehistoric life. Anning's groundbreaking discoveries included the complete skeleton of an ichthyosaurus at the tender age of 12, followed by a plesiosaurus and pterosaur. These finds were instrumental in shaping early paleontology and supporting the revolutionary theories of extinction, ideas that were controversial at the time. However, as a woman in a male-dominated scientific world, Anning was rarely credited for her work. Her contributions were frequently presented by male scientists, leaving her name absent from the accolades she so richly deserved. Today, Mary Anning is celebrated as one of the pioneers of paleontology, her resilience and intellect reminding us of the often overlooked brilliance of women in science. Her story is a testament to the power of passion and persistence, even in the face of societal constraints. Nicolaus Otto, the father of the internal combustion engine. While names like Carl Benz and Henry Ford are synonymous with the birth of the modern automobile, few people are aware of Nicolaus Otto, the man whose invention powered their revolution. Born in 1832 in Germany, Otto had an unassuming start as a grocery clerk, but his fascination with mechanics and engines soon drove him to pursue something greater. In 1861, Otto invented the first functional four-stroke internal combustion engine, now known as the Otto cycle. This innovation was a game-changer, providing the efficiency and reliability that would later make automobiles viable for mass production. Without Otto's engine, the industrial world may have been a very different place, and the rapid advances in mobility and transportation might have been delayed by decades. Despite his transformative invention, Nicolaus Otto's name is often eclipsed by those who adapted and marketed his work. Yet, his engine remains a cornerstone of modern engineering, powering not just cars but also countless machines that drive our global industries. His story serves as a reminder that the architects of progress are often hidden behind the curtains of history. 2. Unyielding warriors, the lesser-known military leaders. The pages of history are filled with tales of charismatic generals and celebrated warriors, but hidden in the shadows are equally formidable leaders whose brilliance shaped the outcomes of conflicts and the fates of nations. These unsung military figures displayed unparalleled courage, innovative strategies, and resilience, earning their place as heroes, even if history has largely forgotten their names. Baji Rao I, the lightning of the Maratha Empire. In the early 18th century, when the Mughal Empire's power was waning, Baji Rao I rose to prominence as one of the greatest military commanders in Indian history. Serving as the Peshwa, Prime Minister, of the Maratha Empire from 1720 to 1740, Baji Rao led an astonishing 41 battles, and never lost a single one. Nicknamed the Lightning for his swift and decisive movements on the battlefield, Baji Rao revolutionized warfare with his use of highly mobile cavalry units. His campaigns expanded the Maratha Empire's influence across the Indian subcontinent, challenging the Mughal Empire's dominance. Yet, despite his tactical brilliance and unbroken string of victories, Baji Rao's contributions are often overshadowed by other figures in Indian history. Today, historians recognize Baji Rao as a master strategist whose boldness and innovation laid the foundation for the Marathas' peak as a dominant power. His legacy endures, not only in historical records but also in the spirit of resilience he instilled in his people. Jean Hatchett, the defender of Beauvais. Amid the chaos of 15th-century France, during the Hundred Years' War, a young woman named Jean Lane, later known as Jean Hatchett, emerged as an unlikely heroine. In 1472, Beauvais, a small French town, faced an attack by Charles the Bold, the Duke of Burgundy. With the Burgundian forces overwhelming the town's defenses, Jean rallied the townspeople with her fearless resistance. Legend has it that during the siege, Jean scaled the battlements and tore down the enemy's flag, inspiring the defenders to push back against the invaders. Armed with little more than courage and determination, she played a pivotal role in holding Beauvais until reinforcements arrived. Her bravery not only saved the town but also boosted the morale of the French people during a turbulent time in their history. Jean Hatchett's name may not be as widely known as Joan of Arc's, but her legacy is celebrated every year in Beauvais with a festival in her honor. She stands as a symbol of defiance and the power of ordinary individuals to shape the course of events through extraordinary acts of courage, innovative strategies, and indomitable spirits. Both Baji Rao I and Jean Hatchett exemplify the qualities of lesser-known military leaders: strategic brilliance, unyielding determination, and the ability to inspire those around them. Their stories remind us that history is not just shaped by emperors and kings, but also by those who, often against overwhelming odds, stand firm and fight for their beliefs, their people, and their homelands. 3. Silent Guardians, the activists of change. Throughout history, great societal transformations have often been attributed to prominent leaders. Yet, behind every movement, there are tireless activists, individuals working quietly, often in anonymity, whose efforts ignite and sustain the flames of change. These silent guardians exemplify resilience, courage, and dedication, paving the way for progress. Claudette Colvin, the teen who paved the way for Rosa Parks. In 1955, at just 15 years old, Claudette Colvin refused to give up her bus seat to a white passenger in Montgomery, Alabama. This act of defiance occurred months before Rosa Parks' similar protest became a cornerstone of the civil rights movement. Colvin's actions led to her arrest and subsequently became one of the first legal challenges to Alabama's segregated bus system. Despite her bravery, Colvin was largely forgotten by history. Her youth, economic status, and the complexities of her personal life led civil rights leaders to choose Parks, a more established figure, as the public face of the boycott. Yet, it was Colvin's earlier stand that demonstrated the courage required to confront systemic injustice and inspired others to follow. Today, her contributions are being re-evaluated, and she is rightfully recognized as an early trailblazer in the fight for equality. Irena Sendler, the angel of the Warsaw Ghetto. During World War II, as Nazi forces occupied Poland, Irena Sendler, a social worker, undertook one of the most daring rescue missions in history. Risking her life, she smuggled approximately 2,500 Jewish children out of the Warsaw Ghetto, hiding them in orphanages, convents, and Polish families willing to shelter them. Sendler used every means available to save these children, from hiding them in sacks and coffins to creating false identities and documentation. Captured by the Gestapo in 1943, she endured torture but never revealed the names of those she had helped. Miraculously, she survived the war and lived to see many of the children she rescued grow into adulthood. Despite her extraordinary heroism, Sendler's story remained largely unknown outside of Poland for decades. It wasn't until the late 1990s that her remarkable deeds received international recognition, highlighting her as an emblem of compassion and bravery. Shaping change beyond the spotlight. Both Claudette Colvin and Irena Sendler exemplify the quiet strength of activists who work relentlessly, often without seeking recognition or acclaim. Their stories remind us that the most profound changes in society are often driven by the selfless actions of individuals who act not for glory but for justice and humanity. 4. Architects of innovation, inventors time forgot. The evolution of human civilization owes much to those who dared to imagine the impossible. Many inventors, however, fade into obscurity while their creations become integral to our lives. Behind the curtain of history lie the stories of brilliant individuals whose ingenuity and perseverance paved the way for technological and social advancements. Joseph Swan, the overlooked father of the light bulb. When we think of the invention of the light bulb, the name Thomas Edison is often the first that comes to mind. Yet, in England, a chemist and physicist named Joseph Swan was developing his own version of the electric bulb around the same time. In fact, Swan successfully demonstrated a working bulb in 1878, before Edison's iconic invention. Swan's design utilized a carbon filament, which emitted light when electrified and was innovative in its simplicity. He later collaborated with Edison in Britain, leading to the creation of the Edison and Swan United Electric Light Company. Although Edison became the face of the invention, Swan's contributions were instrumental to the widespread adoption of electric lighting, transforming cities and homes around the world. Despite his role in illuminating the modern world, Swan's name is often overshadowed by Edison's enduring fame. His work remains a testament to the collaborative and competitive spirit that drives innovation. Mary Case, the pioneer of American patent history. Long before intellectual property rights became a global conversation, Mary Case achieved a milestone in U.S. history. In 1809, Case became the first woman to receive a patent in the United States. Her invention, a method for weaving straw with silk or thread, revolutionized hat-making, boosting the American textile industry during a time when it was struggling. Although her achievement was groundbreaking, Case did not gain widespread recognition or financial success. Her invention's impact on the economy and the evolving role of women in industry was largely forgotten, overshadowed by other developments during the Industrial Revolution. Mary Case's story underscores the challenges faced by women inventors during her era and serves as a reminder of the innovative spirit that knows no bounds of gender or societal constraints. The quiet legacy of inventors. Joseph Swan and Mary Case represent the countless inventors who have contributed to human progress without receiving the recognition they deserve. Their work continues to shape our world, inspiring future generations to dream, create, and innovate. While their names may not adorn the pages of history books, their inventions remind us that true brilliance often exists in the shadows. 5. Cultural custodians, preserving heritage in shadows. Civilizations rise and fall, but their cultural legacies, art, literature, music, language, persist through the efforts of individuals dedicated to preservation. Some worked quietly in archives and libraries, others risked their lives to safeguard treasures from destruction, yet their names rarely echo through history. Let's meet two remarkable figures whose commitment ensured the survival of cultural heritage. Ahmad ibn Fadlan, the chronicler of lost worlds. In the early 10th century, an Arab diplomat named Ahmad ibn Fadlan embarked on a journey from Baghdad into the distant reaches of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. His mission: to deliver messages on behalf of the Abbasid Caliph to the Volga Bulgars and document the customs and traditions of the people he encountered. Ibn Fadlan's meticulous observations provide one of the earliest written records of Viking culture outside of Scandinavia. He described Norse funeral rituals, detailing how they honored their dead with grand ceremonies filled with song, sacrifice, and fire. His writings also captured the daily life of Turkic and Slavic peoples, offering a rare glimpse into societies that have since evolved beyond recognition. Despite the historical significance of his work, Ibn Fadlan's manuscript was lost for centuries, surviving only in fragments and later rediscovered. His account remains invaluable, illuminating cultures at a time when few others ventured beyond their own lands. Rose Valland, the museum curator who outsmarted the Nazis. During World War II, as Nazi forces plundered European art collections, a quiet and unassuming French art historian named Rose Valland worked in secret to track their movements. Stationed at the Jeu de Paume Museum in Paris, Valland had a unique vantage point. She oversaw the Nazis' cataloging and transportation of stolen masterpieces, yet they remained unaware that she spoke German. Risking her life, she documented where each stolen artwork was sent, including pieces by Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Leonardo da Vinci. Her intelligence was instrumental in recovering over 60,000 works of art after the war, ensuring that Europe's artistic heritage did not permanently disappear into private collections or Nazi hands. Despite her extraordinary role in preserving cultural treasures, Valland's contributions remained largely unrecognized for years. Today, she is honored as one of the key figures who safeguarded art history from destruction. The guardians of culture. Ahmad ibn Fadlan and Rose Valland embody the spirit of cultural preservation, proving that history and art endure not just through creation, but through meticulous care and unwavering dedication. Their stories remind us that civilization is not merely built by warriors and rulers, it is safeguarded by those who recognize its value and fight for its survival, often from the shadows. 6. Visionaries ahead of their time. History has often been unkind to those who see beyond their generation. Pioneers who proposed revolutionary ideas were sometimes ridiculed, persecuted, or ignored, only for their concepts to be embraced long after their time. These visionaries remind us that genius is rarely understood in its moment, but its impact can reshape the future. Ignaz Semmelweis, the doctor who fought for hand-washing. In the mid-19th century, Hungarian physician Ignaz Semmelweis made an observation that could have saved countless lives, yet he was dismissed and ridiculed by the medical community. While working in Vienna, Semmelweis noticed an alarming trend. Mothers giving birth in hospitals staffed by physicians were dying at much higher rates than those attended by midwives. Through meticulous research, he discovered that doctors who performed autopsies and then delivered babies without washing their hands were unknowingly transmitting fatal infections. Semmelweis insisted that hand-washing with chlorinated lime water drastically reduced mortality rates, yet his findings were met with disbelief and hostility. His colleagues refused to accept his theory, and Semmelweis was eventually ostracized from the medical profession. Tragically, he died in a mental asylum, never knowing that decades later, germ theory would validate his findings. Today, his name is synonymous with medical hygiene, and his contributions are recognized as fundamental to modern infection control. Ada Lovelace, the first computer programmer. In an age when women's contributions to science were often disregarded, Ada Lovelace, born in 1815, defied expectations. The daughter of the famed poet Lord Byron, she was captivated by mathematics and became a close collaborator of Charles Babbage, the inventor of the analytical engine, an early mechanical computer. Lovelace didn't just study Babbage's designs, she envisioned something far beyond its intended use. In her notes, she described algorithms that could enable the machine to perform complex calculations, essentially laying the groundwork for modern computing. While Babbage's invention never came to fruition, Lovelace's theories anticipated the very principles that later shaped computer programming. For decades, her contributions were forgotten, overshadowed by male scientists. But in the late 20th century, her work was rediscovered, and she is now celebrated as the first person to conceptualize computer programming, long before computers even existed. The power of ideas. Both Ignaz Semmelweis and Ada Lovelace demonstrate that groundbreaking discoveries often face rejection before being embraced. Their stories remind us that ahead-of-their-time thinkers must persevere despite skepticism, as the future may one day validate their brilliance. 7. Humanitarian heroes, life-saving efforts in silence. While history often remembers rulers, generals, and revolutionaries, some of the most impactful figures are those who dedicated their lives to helping others, often without seeking recognition. Their selflessness and determination saved lives, changed communities, and left behind legacies of hope. Yet, many remain hidden in the pages of history. Raoul Wallenberg, the diplomat who saved thousands. During the horrors of World War II, as Nazi forces tightened their grip on Hungary, Swedish diplomat Raoul Wallenberg embarked on a mission that would save tens of thousands of lives. Sent to Budapest in 1944, Wallenberg used his position to issue Swedish passports to Hungarian Jews, providing them with protection and preventing their deportation to concentration camps. Beyond the bureaucratic efforts, Wallenberg personally intervened in Nazi operations, confronting officers and bribing officials to release individuals marked for execution. He established safe houses across Budapest, sheltering thousands in defiance of the Nazi regime. Tragically, Wallenberg disappeared in 1945 after being arrested by Soviet forces. His fate remains unknown, but his courage and determination secured his place as one of history's greatest humanitarian heroes. Abdul Sattar Eddy, the man who served humanity. In Pakistan, Abdul Sattar Eddy built one of the world's largest and most impactful humanitarian networks, yet his name is rarely mentioned alongside global philanthropists. Starting with a single ambulance in 1951, Eddy dedicated his life to providing free medical care, shelter, and aid to those in need, regardless of race, religion, or background. Eddy's foundation grew to encompass orphanages, clinics, homes for the elderly, and emergency relief programs. His work was driven by the belief that humanity transcends all boundaries, and despite limited resources, he continued to serve until his passing in 2016. Despite his monumental contributions, Eddy lived humbly, refusing wealth and accolades. His legacy is carried forward by those he inspired to continue his mission of compassion and service. The silent force of compassion. Raoul Wallenberg and Abdul Sattar Eddy exemplify the power of humanitarian efforts, proving that true heroism is often measured not by battle victories but by acts of kindness that transform lives. Their stories remind us that even in the darkest times, selflessness and courage can create ripples of change that last for generations. Would you like to proceed to the next chapter, or refine this one further? Let me know how I can shape the narrative to fit your vision. Smiling face with smiling eyes. 8. Political pioneers, shaping nations from behind the curtain. While monarchs, presidents, and revolutionaries often dominate political history, the true architects of change sometimes remain behind the scenes. These figures shaped policies, advised leaders, and orchestrated movements, yet history rarely remembers their names. Let's uncover two remarkable individuals who played crucial roles in reshaping nations. Talleyrand, the diplomat who survived revolutions. Few individuals in history have managed to navigate political upheaval with the skill and adaptability of Charles Maurice de Talleyrand. A French diplomat who served under multiple regimes, from the final years of the Bourbon monarchy to Napoleon Bonaparte's empire and beyond, Talleyrand was a master negotiator whose influence shaped European politics. During the Napoleonic era, Talleyrand advised the emperor but secretly worked to limit his power, advocating for a balanced European order instead of relentless conquests. Later, at the Congress of Vienna in 1815, he played a key role in restoring France's position among nations after Napoleon's defeat, ensuring the country remained a political force rather than being dismantled by its victors. Though often portrayed as opportunistic, Talleyrand's diplomatic maneuvers prevented greater destruction and secured France's stability in a turbulent era. His legacy reminds us that the unseen strategists of history often wield more power than the rulers they serve. Juana Azurduy, the warrior behind South America's independence. While figures like Simón Bolívar and José de San Martín are hailed as heroes of Latin American independence, Juana Azurduy remains one of history's overlooked revolutionaries. A fierce warrior and strategist, Azurduy fought tirelessly against Spanish colonial rule during the 19th century. Born in present-day Bolivia, she rejected the traditional roles expected of women and instead led troops into battle. She commanded indigenous and mestizo forces, capturing enemy strongholds and displaying unmatched military skill. Despite her pivotal contributions, she faced discrimination and was denied the recognition given to her male counterparts. It wasn't until centuries later that Azurduy's legacy was properly acknowledged. Her name now stands alongside the great liberators of South America, reminding us of the forgotten figures who fought for freedom. The architects of power. Talleyrand and Juana Azurduy embody the essence of political pioneers, individuals who influenced history not through grand declarations, but through quiet and relentless action. Their stories highlight the importance of unseen strategists who, despite their lack of fame, played crucial roles in shaping the fate of nations. 9. Navigators of the unknown, explorers who changed maps. While the names of Christopher Columbus and Ferdinand Magellan dominate history books, countless other explorers ventured into the unknown, charting new territories, braving hostile environments, and expanding human knowledge. These forgotten pioneers shaped the world's geography, yet their contributions remain in the shadows. Ibn Battuta, the unmatched traveler. When discussing great explorers, Marco Polo often takes center stage, but few traveled as extensively as Ibn Battuta, a 14th-century Muslim scholar from Morocco. Over the course of nearly 30 years, he traversed Africa, the Middle East, India, Central Asia, and even parts of China, covering over 75,000 miles, a feat unparalleled in his time. Battuta meticulously documented his experiences, detailing the cultures, economies, and customs of the regions he visited. His writings provide invaluable insights into medieval life across diverse civilizations. Despite the significance of his work, his name is seldom mentioned alongside the great explorers of Europe. Today, historians recognize Ibn Battuta as one of the most extraordinary travelers in history, his legacy preserved through his detailed accounts of the medieval world. Jean Barrett, the first woman to circumnavigate the globe. The age of exploration was dominated by men, but Jean Barrett defied expectations, disguising herself as a man to become the first woman to circumnavigate the world. In the 18th century, she joined the expedition of French explorer Louis-Antoine de Bougainville under the guise of a male assistant, allowing her to bypass societal restrictions that barred women from such voyages. As a skilled botanist, Barrett collected and classified numerous plant specimens, including species that would later prove vital to medicine and agriculture. Despite her contributions, she remained largely unrecognized, her name overshadowed by her male counterparts. Jean Barrett's story is a testament to perseverance and passion, proving that adventure and discovery know no gender. Only centuries later was she fully acknowledged for her remarkable achievement. The Unsung Explorers. Ibn Battuta and Jean Barrett exemplify the essence of exploration, not just discovering new lands, but expanding human understanding of the world. Their journeys remind us that history is shaped not only by conquest, but by the pursuit of knowledge, curiosity, and determination. 10. Forgotten innovators of technology and industry. The wheels of progress often turn because of the ingenuity of innovators, people who dared to think differently and develop technologies that transform societies. Yet, some of these visionaries remain unacknowledged, their names lost as their inventions became ubiquitous. Margaret E. Knight, the Lady Edison of the Industrial Revolution. In the late 19th century, Margaret E. Knight became one of the most prolific inventors of her time, earning the nickname Lady Edison. Knight's inventions spanned multiple fields, but she is best known for creating a machine that revolutionized the production of paper bags with flat bottoms, an innovation still used today. Knight's career was marked by resilience and determination. When a man attempted to steal her idea for the paper bag machine, claiming that a woman couldn't possibly have invented something so complex, Knight took him to court and won, securing her patent in 1871. By the time of her death, she held over 20 patents and had paved the way for women in engineering and innovation. Despite her immense contributions, Knight's name is rarely recognized outside of historical circles, a testament to the obstacles faced by women in industrial fields during her era. Frank Whittle, the jet engine pioneer. The jet engine revolutionized travel and warfare in the 20th century, but few remember Frank Whittle, the British engineer who pioneered its development. As a young Royal Air Force officer in the 1930s, Whittle designed the world's first turbojet engine, a groundbreaking technology that would eventually enable modern aviation. Despite his genius, Whittle's journey was fraught with challenges. Funding was scarce, and his ideas were initially dismissed by military officials and the aviation industry. It wasn't until the 1940s, during World War II, that his work gained the recognition it deserved. Even then, larger companies and nations overshadowed his individual contributions. Whittle's innovation laid the groundwork for jet-powered flight, yet his name is often forgotten in favor of the corporations and governments that capitalized on his invention. The legacy of silent innovators. Margaret E. Knight and Frank Whittle exemplify the spirit of innovation, creative minds who defied expectations and overcame adversity to change the world. Their stories remind us that progress is often driven by those who work in obscurity, their contributions forming the unseen backbone of technological and industrial revolutions.